Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank 3AI team for inviting me to the AI-ism conference, and agreeing to hear my thoughts on business transformation using AI. So whenever we are talking about business transformation, there are two distinct aspects of it. One is about being digitized, which is using the new technologies, the digital technologies, in order to be better in operational excellence, improving the business processes, be more optimized. And the other is obviously being digital. And by digital, we mean is constantly try to innovate new product offerings for the customers, trying to create new value propositions. Now, when we talk about the artificial intelligence induced digital transformation, it has to be taken in a two different contexts, as I mentioned, being digitized and being digital. When we're talking about being digitized, there are a number of pitfalls I think we should avoid. Uh, uh, One very important pitfall is about uh, redefining your processes, reimagining your processes. Very often, when an organization gets into a digitization journey, the first thing they tend to do is switch to a different technology platform, say from an on-premise to a cloud, or change the ERP. What doesn't happen much is they would use the same process which they're used to and replicate into a new platform. Now what happens, the waste also gets replicated again, and after a point of time they would realize that this is not what they were looking for. So very important is that you have to start re-engineering your process with a design thinking mindset. Okay, and that would be a true digitized first step to begin with. The second aspect is to avoid digital breaks as much as possible, in order to use the potential of artificial intelligence. When I say digital breaks, any organization or any technology architecture of any company uh, is amalgamation of or a linkage of multiple systems, and these might be loosely coupled or tightly coupled. But what very well happens that because this has evolved over a period of time and not built grounds up, it has always grown incrementally over time. There have been there have been digital breaks which has happened between these two systems. That means there's a physical person, a human being, who is doing the literal handshake between the two systems, taking the data out, massaging it, putting it into another system. And that's where the need of APIification is very, very important. So in terms of getting into everything into one digital fabric, you know there has to be massive uh, emphasis on moving into a microservices based architecture and APIification of your technology landscape. The third thing which I would talk about is in terms of digitization is the data, obviously. Now very often we do not uh, capture as many data points as we would want to, because at that point of time when we designed the process we thought it wouldn't be relevant. But the whole understanding of artificial intelligence is looking at the non-obvious sources of data. Now data storage is a massive infrastructure expense. So companies tend to optimize that, but until unless you capture everything, you measure everything, you'll not be able to predominantly use artificial intelligence to its full potential. So very often, your processes work fine with 30% of that information, and that's what you require. That's the most optimized manner. But in order to really optimize that particular solution, you would need data which is probably not getting captured right now. I'm not talking about veracity. That's a different. Data integrity is a totally different area, or data governance is a different area. It's just the capture everything and anything in the entire universe of whatever is happening in that process. Now moving on to the digital aspect of being digital aspect of the digital transformation. Again, when you're looking at new product offerings to create new value propositions for each of your customers, it's very important to you have a 360-degree view of your customers. And that doesn't only mean your capturing the interaction of your customers with only your systems, but also what the customer is doing apart from your systems. So whether it's a social media interaction, whether it is any other browsing information, and what they are looking at before taking a purchasing decision in a retail aspect industry which I'm talking about, it's very important, because the artificial intelligence persona of that customer cannot be will always be incomplete if you do not capture the data enough. Okay. So when we talk about artificial intelligence as your underlying objective for driving digital transformation, you have to be very, very, careful that how do you architect this, because if you do not architect it well right in the beginning, right at the grounds up level with first principles, the challenge is that it will reach a roadblock very soon, around midway of the journey. And that's very frustrating. That's frustrating for the organization, that's frustrating for the practitioners as well. So before even uh, any organization embarks on this journey of transforming, either being digitized or being digital, I think much thought needs to be needs to be done to build the blueprint. And that's not an easy job. There's obviously pressure. There's obviously pressure to get this fast, get this quick, get this faster than your competitor, and anyone else. But if you don't get this right first time, the fact is that it's going to only delay your time to market. So those are my thoughts on, how do you effectively use your AI architecture foundation to build your business architecture, to build your technology architecture above that, and on top of it the data architecture, so that you can build more value for the organization. Thank you, 3AI.